Alright, this one is the second issue of the Satan limited series from 1987. Yeah, this one isn't for Christians. Issue 2 says The Lord of Darkness versus Extra Factor, the original Excellent Men. This 4-issue series was written by Al Milburn, the mighty Milburn, with magnificent artwork by Sal Buscema, who is John Buscema's brother, and it is printed on Baxter paper too. Each issue also came with a credited creative consultant. For this one, it is Louise Simon, who was the writer of Extra Factor. It's worth noting because each issue's quality is strangely keyed to the quality you would expect from that person. Louise Simon is decent. Royce Sternum is very good. Christopher Clairvoyant is unbelievably dreadful. And Steve Engelstein with Simon Waltonson doesn't mix at all. I think they are co-plotting, basically. They are shaping Al Milburn's story, which would also explain the very contrived villain scheme by Satan and all the U-turns along the way. At the minute, Satan has Invisible Wife's soul, but he wants bigger and better souls. A regular human soul is nothing compared to a mutie or a god's soul. This is the only issue in the series to really continue the plot on in a way where they are not dumping everything from the previous issue. We do get to see Fantastic Force working, trying to oppose Satan and get Invisible Wife back. We also have some very tenuous writing to give Mr. Fantasticals the inclination to call the Excellent Men for help. Here they are, Extra Factor. I will more than likely call them the Excellent Men throughout this video. This was a team made up of the 5 original Excellent Men members, and where this takes place in their chronology is a bit hard to pinpoint because it will usually be at odds with the continuity of the appearances of Fantastic Force, or later, Thor and the Avengers. The key thing, I think this may have been a quite last minute change. Wingman is crippled in this. He of course had his wings damaged and removed in the Mutie Mascara crossover, and if you look at the cover of this you can actually see him in full costume with his wings, so you wouldn't know that. There's also a Marvel Age cover where they previewed the series, and Lord Almighty are there huge differences on that. There are characters who don't appear in this series, like Hercules Man or whoever that woman is in fishnet stockings. And Strikeforce Morituri aren't in it at all. For most this, we have the 4 non-hospital bed-bound members of Extra Factor: Cyclist, Phoenix, Snowman and Smurf, who was de-smurfed because nostalgia is a lethal thing in comics. They are working out when Mr. Fantasticals arrives at their headquarters. He tells them about what has happened, and it is a great scene. Mr. Fantasticals feels defeated. He is at a loss because, despite all his intelligence, he has absolutely no foundational understanding or appropriate knowledge for how to handle a supernatural adversary like Satan. And then Cyclist, he doesn't quite believe what Mr. Fantasticals is saying, that Satan is real and that Satan has abducted Invisible Wife. But then Satan, he shows up incognito and he tries to lead Extra Factor into a trap. And he also gets rid of Mr. Fantasticals because he would get in the way of the trap. Satan, using Invisible Wife as bait, leads the Excellent Men to a warehouse. I don't know why. Maybe the warehouse was built on an ancient Indian burial ground. I like this once we get to the meat of it. Satan and the muties. They are not impressed by him throwing around fire and brimstone because they have familiarity with muties who can do similar things, like Fire Fist. R.I.P. Fire Fist. They do actually name drop Fire Fist specifically on this page in reference to it. We then have this fantastical load of bollocks. Satan tries to sell them a phony bill of goods about how he is like them. He is like a mutie. He is the original mutie. He was cast out of the heavens for being different. And now everyone is told to hate and fear him. It's a great spiel, but it's complete bullshit. He then starts trying to tempt the Excellent Men with their heart's desires, be it solving Cyclist's woman troubles, or restoring Phoenix's memories. Basically undoing the shite Kurt Busey retcon that he got made into a story by constantly harassing actual creators and forcing them to listen to his idea until they just made it canon. Then we have Smurf, who Satan promises he can make handsome, and then he teleports Wingman here and gives him back his wings. What I love the most is that it is Snowman who isn't buying any of this. Satan doesn't really even offer him anything. Snowman acknowledges that Satan isn't a bastion of goodwill because through this all, he has had Invisible Wife entranced as a prisoner. It would also be a good time to point out that if Snowman had been gay all along, if Snowman was a closeted gay man all along, wouldn't Satan have had quite easy work baiting him with promises of acceptance and whatnot? Instead, he melts Snowman, and then Cyclist tries to blast Satan with his eye lasers. And the funniest part of the comic is Satan suddenly summons Cyclist's wife and baby to act as a human shield. Brilliant. Cyclist, he is fucking destroyed. He just killed his family. Then Satan transforms Smurf into progressively more monstrous forms and sends them out to be lynched by a mob who fear him because of his appearance. Wingman, he is overwhelmed by evil demons, and this part of the story is apparently followed up on in an issue of Marvel Funfair. It took over a year to come out, and it's not really that keyed into this at all. It's, I suspect, since Al Milburn was editor of Marvel Funfair, I would guess the connection and the lead-in was entirely his way of trying to pump up interest in a Marvel Funfair, but then it took 17 months to actually be published, so it was for nothing. In fact, you'll see how pointless and worthless that story is with regards to this very quickly. Satan He wants Phoenix's soul. I don't know why. It's one of the worst souls in the Marvel Universe. And it is surely already heading to hell one day. But she selflessly sacrifices herself for the good of everyone else. I reckon she just thought to herself that if she went off with this strange man, she could probably shag him. Satan restores everything to normal. Snowman, Smurf, Cyclist's wife and kids, and Wingman is back in hospital without wings. That Marvel Funface story doesn't matter because Satan waved his hands, and Wingman is reset to where he was before. Either that or this story happens. Satan, he also frees Invisible Wife because now he has what he thinks is a greater prize, and he could not be more wrong. This is a worthless soul. Toss it in the bin. Don't parade it around like a prized possession. Next issue is the Excellent Men one, and by God, it is horrible. It is utter clairvoyantian dirge, with Satan being romantic with Rouge. I do appreciate the first 2 issues of this series, and part of the 4th, but yeah, it goes very enjoyable, unenjoyable, partly enjoyable. That is a rundown of the issues. I don't think this one is perfect, or even as good as issue 1. I think too much time is spent playing with an idea of an overarching plot, which issues 3 and 4 more or less do away with. Most of the versus part of this one is actually terribly short. Cyclist got 2, 3 panels. Snowman melted in 1. Phoenix didn't even fight him. More evidence to my belief that she was waiting for an opportunity to blow him. That all said, I still get fun out of this. Cyclist accidentally murdering his wife and kid has surprisingly never been weaponised by Cyclist haters as proof he is a terrible husband and dad. For that, I'll give it 7 thumbs up.